London Guardian 2 weeks ago that the NSA spy grid is about totalitarian oppression and, quote, total control. William Binney, the most high-level NSA whistleblower in history, will be joining us coming up in the second hour today. I want to discipline myself and give you a lot of the headlines today and go over some of the news, but open the phones up to discuss several issues. Obviously, we'll break down the latest on the imploded border, but I really want to get into the impeachment. The Democrats, for the last few years, have been raising money. My dad, for some reason, gets Democrat and White House emails, even though he's not a Democrat. He's been getting them for a long time. I guess since my mom one time gave money to some environmental group that came to her door. So we actually know where it all came from. The point is, he gets these emails and forwards them to me. But you've seen them in the news. Just a few days ago, they're raising money on the prospect that his impeachment is imminent. And you've got Pat Buchanan and others a few weeks ago saying, don't impeach Obama. Because if you try to impeach him, it'll make him a martyr politically. And then that will actually boost his approval ratings and won't cause a Republican landslide. And you know what? That may be true. That may be true. All I know is the country may not make it another 2 years. And you've got to prosecute crime or it sets the precedent that the sky's the limit. And I've talked about this a lot. I mean, this is 101 in criminology and law. Everybody knows this. I'm stating the obvious, but they already gotten to the point of the sky being the limit. There already have illegals protesting with no fear of arrest in front of the White House demanding more and demanding more benefits. And it just shows what a joke this country is, that veterans can't get health care and are put on death panel list to be denied care, which is a death sentence for brain tumors, you name it. Totally operable, lung cancer, you name it. And the illegals can march in at any city run or county run or private charity hospital and get the health care. And it's not that I'm even against these individual people. They're all mad and angry and really feel like from the media they deserve everything. Got here from Guatemala a month ago, you should get everything free. Get here from China a month ago, you should get everything free. Get here from Romania or Turkey a month ago, you should get everything free. And that's just not the case, obviously. It's the political class creating a new form of slavery where they get 51% to vote through the governmental taxation system to rob the other 49. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of Mitt Romney, but when he got recorded at a fundraiser saying, look, 47.8%, or whatever the number was, I think it was 47.8%, don't care what you say or what you do, they're going to vote Democrat. They're going to vote to expand socialism because they are on the dole. And he got criticized for, quote, attacking the 47%. There are 100+ million people, 101 million people on federal welfare. Every time I mention that number, people don't believe me. That's mainstream news. Just type in, over 100 million people are on federal welfare. That number's growing. You've got over 52% now. You know, just a few years ago, it was 47%. The last number I saw from the Governmental Accounting Office, GAO, Governmental Accounting Office, was it's 52% now are government dependent. So that's why the system is so arrogant now. And we could use the quote from Aliens, game over, man. Because if we don't turn it around very quickly, you can stick a fork in it, we're done.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. And now you can protect yourself from corrupt cops with the InfoWars dash cam. It's your car's black box that records all that the driver sees and hears. And introducing the Block It Pocket. It renders your phone undetectable while protecting your private data and your health. Or take back your privacy and protect your personal information by getting your very own Detractor cell phone pouch. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
So you got a 9-year-old daughter, a 10-year-old son. You let them play at the park across the street from your house. You're going to go to jail. CPS is going to take your child. But if you live in Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Brazil, anywhere south of the border, and you want to put your children on planes or buses as young as 3 years of age and fly them here or bus them here, the Border Patrol will meet the bus, won't turn it around back into Mexico, and will load them on Greyhound buses and other buses with CPS guardians and will ship them in to be dropped off wherever the notes in Spanish tell them to send the children. So if you're human smugglers, you can deliver a 5-year-old kidnapped kid with the paperwork, or you can show up with a 5-year-old you've kidnapped, or an 8-year-old or a 3-year-old, with any fake ID you want, any consular matricula that you can literally get out of Cracker Jack boxes, and you will be sent anywhere you want to go in the U.S. But I personally, not once, not twice, but 3 times, have been in Washington, D.C., making my own films, being in a Discovery Channel TV show, and being in a independent film channel TV show 3 times. And I have been 200 yards from the Washington Monument on the grass videotaping the monument and had security guards and police come over and say, we will arrest you if you videotape. You have to have a permit. And then Discovery Channel and the rest of them would say, there is no permits issued in D.C. for public commons. And they said, hey, you want to go to jail? If you go down to the White House within 200 yards of it in the park across the street and start taking photos, Secret Service on bicycles jump off, run up, bow up to you, and say, stop videotaping or taking photos or we'll arrest you. And the first time this happened, I thought they were messing with me. And I quit videotaping just to see what was happening. And they ran over to school kids with their Midwestern parents right out of Lampoon's Vacation, National Lampoon's, and would get in their face. And they would grovel in fear and run off. And they would just do it to family after family. Because the message is, you're scum if you're an American citizen. Roll over and learn to be a prisoner. This is total prisoner induction. The TSA, all of it. So remember, with the backdrop of all this news we're going to cover today, that thousands of illegal aliens arrogantly, the videos are just so arrogant, stomping around like they've just been robbed or their children have been killed, demanding total instant legalization and more welfare. Just stomping around and waving all the flags of the Democratic Party and that whole agenda. And they are angry and they want it all and they want it now. But American citizens who try to show up and shoot video of the White House as if you can't get it from Google Streets or anywhere else, literally have Secret Service follow them around. And then we were walking around D.C. In fact, we have footage of this. We've aired it before, 4 or 5 years ago. And the Secret Service in plain clothes on bicycles was following us when we were 800 to 1,000 yards away, just walking down the street. And they would stop behind bus stops, and they were chewing gum and looking at us in their dark sunglasses. I mean, it's all just mental illness, folks. It's tyranny dressed up like it's legitimate and like it's keeping somebody safe.
Down with deportation.
That's folks protesting out front the White House, where if you don't have a permit to demonstrate, which they don't issue, and you're a Tea Party group, you get arrested. And again, it's the discrimination of the fact that there's no basic freedom in this country, according to the government. The freedom's alive in our hearts and minds, and it's alive when we exercise it. But they would have us believe that we have absolutely no rights. Last night, I watched Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit. And I like the actors that are in the film, but it was unwatchable. And I knew how it was going to end. And here's a film that came out a year ago, pre-planned for the current Russia crisis to sell war with Russia. And even if you hate Russia and want war for them, the movies roll out on TV, dramas, sitcoms, films, comic books, telling you who the next enemy is right before it happens. They had Tom Clancy's video game come out the year before the Georgia conflict with the exact same conflict unfolding, because it's all pre-planned, so people are then comfortable with Russia being the enemy now because it was already pre-programmed years before that the Cold War is back on. It's scripted is my point. And the larger issue is the globalists are going after any stable country in the Middle East, any secular government in the Middle East, any Christian supporting government in the Middle East. They're going after Russia that's trying to stabilize itself and stabilize Eastern Europe when the EU wants to suck Eastern Europe dry and exploit it. And they're going after us. The globalists are going after our infrastructure, our jobs, our families. The globalists are moving on every front right now. This is a very historical time to be alive, and everything they do is basically bad. You can debate within the spectrum who's right, who's wrong, and the politics of any given issue. But you have to pull back from Republican and Democratic rhetoric and actually look at who the special interests are and what they want. And the larger agenda is for global governance, autocratic totalitarianism, attacking every institution, the family, the church, you name it. Not that the church is even good. It's been government run for a long time, but all institutions are to not just be overtaken, they are to be pulled down so that no competing system can exist. Monetary, it doesn't matter. It's the opposite of diversity, the opposite of choices. And through the Democratic Party right now, we see the vanguard of the movement. Class warfare, race warfare, social division, man against woman, old against young, death panels, veterans being kicked off health care, put on death lists to not be given care. On record. And the media calls it a screw-up. It's not a screw-up, it's a policy. It's not a screw-up on the border, like Rick Perry says about Obama. It's a deliberate policy. People ask why I praise Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. They're the only ones that will say it's deliberate, because it is. The Border Patrol says it's deliberate and shows proof. We go down to the border and show proof. We have the facts. We're nothing special. Anybody can say 2 + 2 = 4. Anybody can try to be decent. There is no debating this. There is no choice. You either join with the evil and be a schmuck, be a chump, be a sucker, be a mark, be a mind-control cult member, or you decide that you're going to resist what's happening. It's in your own best interest. It's in all our best interest to say no to all of this. Now, folks, there's a lot of news here. And if we do a document cam shot, I can show folks the stacks here. We've got the InfoWars stack of news, world news, science and tech, politics, economy, U.S. news, Russia, Ukraine, border crisis. This is all news we've been working on and researching since last night, right through to this morning. And I'm going to try to get into all of this important news. But if you pull back from all of this, what is the tie that binds it? What is the connecting strand? It is the globalists on record that are engineering and steering this whole situation, and they are our enemies. They have made a conscious decision to wreck civilization, to consolidate power, to dumb populations down, to poison populations with propaganda and with physical toxins. This is a psychotronic, positronic, technotronic system of total domination. And I don't tell you that to demoralize you and to make you scared. I believe you have courage. I believe that when faced with the real adversity, you will mobilize against it. So many cowards out there in the system misinterpret this radio broadcast. And they wrongfully think that I'm fear-mongering up here. If I wake up at 2 a.m. because I smell smoke and the dogs are barking, and the neighbor's house across the street on the hill has fire shooting out of it, it is not fear-mongering to call the fire department, to dial 911. It's a course of action to ensure that I'm rendering aid. I'm going to grab my binoculars next, and if I see it looks like people need help, I'm going to go climb their fence, and I'm going to go and render aid. Not because I'm a hero, not because I'm a busybody, but because that's what I do. That's what my ancestors did, and I expect you to come to my aid. This is about mutual goodwill. And it's about seeing that we're in a propagandized system of fraud and rejecting it. Because, look, you either reject the whole thing or you can't beat it. You can sit there and pick it apart all day. We know it's a fraud. We need to break with it.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
Top story on DrudgeReport.com. Boner rules out impeachment. John Boehner. And again, I want to open the phones up in the next segment to ask you the question. I understand what Pat Buchanan's saying. I know Pat Buchanan personally. Worked on his campaign 3 different times. I respect Pat Buchanan. He's a good paleo-conservative, libertarian constitutionalist. He says don't impeach Obama. Let libertarian Republicans take over the Republican primaries, which they're doing. Let them get in at the state and congressional federal level. But the problem is Obama could start new wars during the next 2 years. He could stage a false flag and basically stay in office indefinitely, or put a permanent bureaucracy in place via Homeland Security that transcends his administration and is a bureaucratic dictatorship. The economy could completely implode under Obama, and he could set the course for socialism and expanded taxation and government control. You see how he's already imploded the border extrajudicially, extra-legislatively, and is saying he's set to sign executive orders to restrict the Second Amendment and to legalize illegals outside of his congressional request. He's not going to Congress to get a law passed or even an authorization. He's just doing it as a fiat dictator. Not as a dictator who will be permanent and stay in office, but as an operating dictator for all intents and purposes. And more congressmen and senators are now saying that, because that's what's happening. If we got a dictator, would we notice? Not since Lincoln have we seen a president operate like this outside of Congress. And that was the Civil War last time. And notice he's been billed by the Democrats when he first ran back in 2007, 2008 as the second coming of Lincoln. He would crush the bitter clingers that clung to their Bibles and their guns. And so Boehner has come out. The Washington Times is reporting, as he did a month ago, and he has ruled out impeachment. He says it's a scam started by Democrats. And I agree that it is a scam going on for several years by the Democrats to say impeachment is imminent. We need to raise money for him right now, or he will reverse, the Republicans in impeachment will reverse the wonders of Obamacare, and they will reverse the wonders of everything else that's been done. The wondrous death panels, the wondrous losing your doctor and having your health plan go up in price, and the wondrous payroll tax on poor people, and the wondrous open borders, and the wondrous putting our military under UN control, and the wondrous Common Core teaching 2 + 2 = 5, and the wondrous Black Plague, and tuberculosis, and flesh-eating bacteria, and mites, and pinworms, and just everything spreading across the country right now as we collapse into a third world nation. The wondrous liver flukes showing up in Californian water supplies that were formerly not even in Central America. They were in South America. And so you can look at that and say, do you play politics and hope a bunch of libertarians get elected, which is starting to happen, and then reverse everything that the Democrats with their Republican blue blood neocon cohorts have engaged in? Do you let Obama keep operating for another 2 years when every week he tops his last outrage? My gut tells me absolutely not. You don't play politics with us. We've done this too long. He will pardon himself. He will pardon everybody else around him. Impeachment, removing him from office, is the only thing that stops him from being able to do that. And you send a message to the political criminal class that the games are over. And then you use that impeachment process to empower the states to create a new coalition of states to organize and to elect pro-Constitution, pro-liberty, American Restoration, emergency party people. I mean, you call it the emergency party. And if Democrats want to join it, that's fine. We've got to right the country. We don't want to wreck it and scuttle it under Cloward and Piven and Agenda 21 so they can take over. We don't want to go to a conquest government, a total collapse government, people standing in line for their welfare like the old Soviet Union. That's the model of state control they admit they're going for. And if the political class isn't scared into submission, they're going to go ahead with it, which you see them doing now. But finishing up the point I was getting to in the last segment, this country is literally marinated in propaganda and disinformation. Any major sitcom or drama or movie I watch is just full of anti-male, anti-gun, anti-family garbage. Or when there is a good male role model, like in Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit that I watched on DVD last night that came out about a year ago, if there is a positive male role model, he works for the CIA. And it's so sexy and it's so cool. And his wife, his girlfriend, just has no idea, how awesome he is. And he's implanted inside the financial sector. And there's a secret war going on with Russia. They're the new enemy. Again, all of this being pre-prepared, all of this being rolled out. And then at the end, he's done a good job, and he's a good Boy Scout, they say, so he gets to go in and he gets to meet with the president. And he walks into the room and meets the president, and it's like he's died and gone to heaven. He's gone across the pearly gates. And the average person watching this literally thinks that the only thing better than winning an Oscar, the only thing better than winning a gold medal at the Olympics, the only thing better than inventing the cure to cancer is to meet with the president. And that's what the big airplanes are about, and the red carpets and the shutting down the highways, is this big illusion that the president runs something. Sure, there have been a few presidents like Nixon or Kennedy that tried to run things, and you saw what happened to them. Whether they were good or bad, they were removed by the special interest. Presidents are puppets. And the CIA is a giant sprawling bureaucracy involved in every evil under the sun, on record. It's declassified on record, 1997 CIA Inspector General hearings in Congress, that they ship in the majority of the narcotics and launder the money. When a cop wants to search your car randomly, you say, well, the big banks launder the drug money. Yeah, I know, but I'm asking what's in your car. See, it's all a fraud. The illegals can protest in front of the White House, but veterans get arrested if they do. Rolling Thunder Motorcycle Group tries to go up there, they get arrested. The illegals do. The illegals get to walk through TSA. You don't. The big banks get to launder the money and get to be tax exempt, and Google gets to be tax exempt, and General Electric gets to be tax exempt. You don't. You're making $10 an hour, you're not exempt from Obamacare and the payroll tax. And the establishment would say, well, they're poor and they're dumb because they were meant to be poor and dumb, and the world needs ditch diggers too, to quote Judge Schmales from Caddyshack. Well, I don't think that you deserve to be lied to and be run over. And there's nothing sadder than a brainwashed minion of this system who has created this weird little sick relationship with the president, like he's their imaginary friend and he's there guarding them, when all he is a corporate governance, franchise, pitchman, president of Coca-Cola. What do presidents do? Presidents of companies go and play golf and go cut red ribbons, and they go hang out with the mayor of cities when they come visit and do public relations. What does the CEO do? They run the company. And the CEO of this country is a round table of the big 6 banks, and under them, Big Pharma and the military-industrial complex. And they are 30 to 40 years advanced of us in technology and have now created technological breakaway civilization. And what we know about it is that it's 30 to 40 years advanced. They can already predict the future, and they've decided that we are to be eliminated and have already set up the plan to carry out the incremental, phased-in actuary to end humanity as we know it.
Game over, man. It's game over.
And so I'm just here saying, hey, do you want to be wiped out? You like your kids going into puberty at 7 instead of 14? Something's wrong. Game over. You like cancer rates being 3,000–4,000% what they were just 30 years ago? Diabetes, same thing. Deformities, brain disorders off the charts. Game over, man.
Game over, man.
Game over. Game over. I can sit here and cover all these stacks of news, folks, and make it real interesting for you. But the reason this is all happening is because the establishment has decided that you aren't going to be existing and your children aren't going to be existing down the road. But first they've got to implode society, so we come to them with hat in hand and will do anything they say to get food and water. And that's why I can drive down I-35 and mainly see good-looking, clean-cut families pulled over with cops searching their cars, because that's who the cops have been ordered to search. They're ordered to search each day a different profile, while the border is wide open. And I literally, every time I see it, want to pull over and go get in the cop's face, who's in a military stance, walking around in their uniform with a scared family. It's a joke. It's a joke. That cop is eating GMO. That cop is full of poison. His kids probably can't even talk a large percentage of the time. When I was over in England a year and a half ago at Bilderberg, there were just at one point like 50 British police there. And a lot of them, it turned out, were listeners and knew what was going on. They were some of the most awake police I've ever run into. They had them from a whole bunch of different cities and from London up there for the event, hundreds of them. But a few of them would try to act imperious and bug their eyes out at me. And I'd walk right over to them and I'd say, I bet you got family members that aren't even that old dying of cancer right now. And they go, why are you saying that? How do you know that? And I literally would go, give me that bag. And I would pull out the London Independent that had a cover story about half of Britons will have cancer by 2025. And I said, you're being murdered. You work for a system murdering you and your family. And I go, and if you laugh now, you won't be laughing later. And those cops would look completely freaked out and would just start You know why? Because they knew, folks. They knew it was all a big joke. They were right there until the robots roll out to control the population, and then they're done. You've already been given time-released chemicals and biologicals to kill you and your family. All of us are walking dead already. I don't know how else I'm supposed to explain this to you. Remember Dr. Eric Pianka at the University of Texas, who cryptically, on his own website, talks about Lucifer and dresses up in druidic robes? I'm not kidding. Last time I checked, it was still up on his site. It's in my film Endgame. And Dr. Eric Pianka said, it's very sad, but my family's ready. It will come soon, the airborne Ebola. It will kill 90% of us, and it will be good. I'm ready to die. And when he gave a speech at the Texas Academy of Sciences, it was in the news that there was a standing 3-minute ovation with tears rolling down their faces as the professors cried as he projected on a giant screen behind him skulls with a red filter. It was a rapture of evil, devil-worshipping death. And, of course, even if you don't believe in the devil, it's the Carl Jung archetype. The people there don't know why they get so excited celebrating the death of humanity, but it's the power trip. And they've already given up everything that they were, and they've sold out to evil and to the globalist plan and to the power trip that they're the elite, and they get a thrill like a moth flying into a bug zapper that they are part of this operation. William Binney, the big NSA whistleblower, bigger than Snowden, scheduled to be joining us coming up in the next hour. He said the ultimate goal of the NSA is total population control. He said it is a move towards totalitarianism by a totalitarian mentality. You see, the reason they've got the jump on us is that even though we know about all the secret medical experiments, killing little kids and the rest of it, and shooting people up with syphilis, and the list goes on, the atomic soldiers, nerve gassing our own troops, forced abortions, major hospitals killing people with their organs coast to coast, still people have compartmentalized it, and they feel so powerless hearing all of this, they don't want to believe it's actually happening. But it is happening. The numbers don't lie. And so if you want to be inducted into being a prisoner, if you want to be inducted into a total tyranny, if you want to lie to yourself about this going on, or you feel so powerless you don't think you can do anything to stop it, at least get out of our way, those of us that want to survive and those of us that don't want to sign on to this nightmare. Because the enemy will fall on their strength. They will fall on the fact that it is so over the top, and they think people coming face to face with this will rationalize it or deny it and won't deal with it. But the truth is, historically, no matter how high-tech their mind control is, people will finally wake up in the final equation, and we will turn the tables on these people. Because they're going to do everything we've talked about here today. And if we're able to back them off and slow them down, that's good. But they have every intention of trying to carry this out. And hasn't enough of their plan come to fruition for all of you out there now to know it's really as bad as I say it is? How much worse does it have to get? Look at these headlines. Illegals protest outside White House. No fear of arrest. Senator Sessions, Americans will not accept nullification of their laws. Perry, what we're doing is a crime. I like the fact that that's being said. How many more kids are going to be put on the top of trains? 500,000, 1 million, 5 million? So I've got to say this. Rick Perry is now doing what I said he should do. He's saying it is a premeditated crime. And so we salute Rick Perry. I don't just want to attack Rick Perry for no reason. I want him to say what's happening like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. I want us to face what's happened. That's the only way to stop this. And again, just the issue of the collapsing border is only part of a larger program. Let's go back to the headlines. Democrats, legalization will help reduce the deficit. That's a quote from C-SPAN. We're going to play that later. I've been reporting on this for months, but now it's hitting the news. Make $7,000 per month. It's between $6,000 and $8,000, the ads we've seen, fostering adult illegals. See, there's the new scam. The feds are using the federal CPS money, the social worker money, to let Democrats warehouse at their homes illegals and make money off of it. $7,000 a month to keep 3 people at your house. You stick them in one room with some mattresses and feed them. What's that cost? $1,000? $2,000? And you make $5,000. You see how they're taking the economy and paying their people. That's how they're taking over. This is organized crime. This is racketeering, by the definition. Residents revolt. What we see is an invasion, deliberate invasion. DFW Dallas, CBS. Jerry Brown makes religious appeal to open borders, manipulating Christians, working with the 501c3 state-run churches. Right-wing Baptist churches, left-wing Catholic churches, they're all state-run, folks. And the Republican leadership is doing nothing. We're going to come back in this segment, the next, and talk to Mike, Shelby, Andrew, John, and Mike and others, Mick and others, to get your take on impeachment. Look, I get the fact that Obama is totally unpopular. Hillary went on CNN and badmouthed him and said she likes George W. Bush yesterday. That's her positioning to run for president. And CNN didn't even call her on it. The media's like, well, she's pretty conservative. I heard her saying the open borders is wrong yesterday. She runs Obama. Are you going to fall for that trick, folks? And again, Rick Perry, I don't trust Rick Perry, but I said I would endorse what he's saying and doing if he started calling it criminal and deliberate. That's an important thing to do because it is deliberate. It's premeditated. Big difference. We can't just let him play dumb anymore. You can't let Rick Perry play dumb. And I know our listeners are contacting Rick Perry. Good job. Now, Rick, you need to load these people up on buses and start driving them to the Mexican border and demanding they take them because they're the ones that gave them passage. You got to stop them at the border legally to prove they came out of Mexico because under international law, Mexico's got to take them back if they are the last country that they traveled through. Again, folks, they know all this. The Border Patrol knows how to stop this. They've been telling Rick Perry how to do it.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.